we go. All right. Whoa. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, the mics don't sound good. Hold on. That was me coughing. All right, let's see. Yeah, that's the one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. I don't want to yell too much. How loud is that? That ain't loud enough. I like that loud. Hi, everybody. Welcome in to, I don't even know if we're calling this the Rant anymore. It's just Pugs Moran every day. Hi, that's me. What I like to do is I like to sit down here with my friends of 4 years. That's right. We've been doing this every day for 4 years. I sit down with my friends. We have a chat room that, hold on, I'm changing the channel here, so give me a second. We got a chat room. You can play in that. That's a lot of fun, or so they tell me. I don't know. I need to pay more attention to it. Been saying that for 4 years. Hold on.
The summer is here, and that means that you have an older.
I hate pop-ups. Pop-ups are the worst. All right, now we're all set. Welcome. Hi, Pugs Moran. Going to give you everything that people are talking about today. Like what? Well, that's not true. I used to say that. This is really just everything that I want to talk about today. You know, I've been doing 2-hour shows for 4 years where I just run down a list of headlines and all of that. And most of it's boring and it's divisive and it ain't fun. And I just get mad. So, So what we're going to do from now on is we're going to dispense with all the nonsense that used to happen in the beginning of the show, and we're just going to get to the hot topics. Let me say hi to the folks in the chat room. Look at this. We got April. Hi, April. April tipped the show yesterday. It was pretty awesome. Thank you, April. A couple of you did. That was really cool, man. It was like after not really getting a real, you know, like it was nice. Thank you to everybody who helped the show upon my return. You can do that. I'll leave that scrolling down below, and I will get rid of this big intrusive piece of garbage. There you are. Okay. Thank you, April. April's here. Peter's here. Peter tipped the show, too. Of course, look at the diehards. Cameron's here. So good to see Cam. Great, consistent supporter of the show is Cam. All right, enough about that. It's my birthday weekend, so I'm in a good mood. La, 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 la. I claim it's my birthday. Don't remember much about the day I was born. They tell me it's my birthday. The reason I always say that, and I say it because we don't really know our birthdays. We believe a piece of paper, and you know how I look. Many of you may remember my late great radio partner, Kelly Moore. She had a bit going with her daughter, McKenna, who's now an actress in Hollywood. Anyway, she had a bet going with her, or not a bet, she had a bit going. Started when her daughter was like maybe 4, and it went all the way until her daughter was like 13. And the bit was Kelly told her daughter she had the wrong birthday. That's right. Told her the wrong birthday. And obviously, you know, family and stuff would celebrate the real birthday. But because she got stuck in this, she ended up having 2 birthdays every year. Pretend a birthday. So, yeah, she lied to her kid about her birthday. And I always thought that was really funny. And it stuck until the kid was like 12 or 13. Like, she was never quite sure, like, which day was actually her birthday. And I think Kelly said that she originally changed the birthday because it was convenient. Like, it was like the same, like her, like the firstborn, I guess, was having a birthday. And they wanted to throw a big party, but they wanted to include both. So I guess, you know, she was like 3. And they're like, it's your birthday too. Something like that. I don't know. The details are fuzzy, and she's dead now. So I don't really remember how that worked. April, Cameron, Peter, and that's it. That's all I see in my chat room screen here. So obviously there's something wrong with that. What are we going to get into today? What are we going to get into right off the top? What are we going to run with? Here we go. The first and foremost, the big story of the day is the Wall Street Journal story. Okay, so you know me. I'm like, look, I don't like Trump. I don't like Trump, but I don't like Trump because of politics. I don't like Trump because I am very good at reading people. And I just always thought that he was a bit of a con man. Like, he was always like, look at me. So that goes all the way back to like me reading The Art of the Deal in 1989. So that's why I don't like him. I thought he was hysterical on The Apprentice. Never missed an episode of The Apprentice. Loved that show. My aforementioned dead partner, Kelly, we used to do an Apprentice breakdown after every episode. But not because we thought Trump was so cool, because we thought he was a clown. We thought he was a punchline. And then, I had no idea of his politics. Who cares? He was just a funny guy running around on TV being this cartoon of the ugly American. That was my impression of him. He was harmless. He ruined the USFL. That I will never forgive. But look, point is this. My beef with Trump has never really been authentic. I don't really have a beef with him. My beef is more with people who don't see what I see. Like this, and it's not even a beef really, because it's half of my friends, half of my MAGA friends are like, no, man, he's really smart. And I'm like, what do you mean he's really smart? What does that mean? No, he worked hard. He built all of his businesses. Are you familiar with what I think is like on the first page of Art of the Deal, where he says, I arrived in New York City, a 21-year-old with nary $2 million to my name. Come on. Or something like that. I don't want to misquote him. But anyway, that's always been my feeling on him. I don't hate the guy. I find him to be an incredibly entertaining president. And I'm not much bogged down by all of these major concerns that people always have about he's ruining the country. Because I know the history of this country. This country has had far more diabolical people in charge of shit than this guy. And I say far more diabolical because these people were actually smart. Like Trump is just a rich guy who's seeing how much he can get away with and then not get in trouble for. That's, the rich kid at prep school thing. Well, let's raid the women's dorm and take all their panties. I won't get in trouble because of my daddy. That's his mentality. And we're just allowing it. So, hey, let's go. Get the popcorn. I'm enjoying this. So there you go. There's my feeling about this guy. It's the Trump people. Not all of them. And again, not all of them, because I've been for the last couple of, not the last couple of days, the last couple of weeks, I've been in like, not even heated, just, how buddies are, shit talking buddies on text groups and all that stuff. I've been like just dropping shit talk on my MAGA buddies in one particular text group that we're on. And it's going well for me. For those of us who are just like, more butter for the popcorn, please. For those of us, this is great. For libs, I don't know what this is for libs. I for the most part, from what I can tell, libs are just leaning into the tide. Like the libs are just whatever seems to be the thing that's gaining the most traction. The lib wing, and again, I should preface all of this by saying that all of these sort of diagnoses that I'm sharing with you, they all just come from social media. It's just me as a social media watcher and bad participant. I'm a terrible participant. Nobody follows me. It's all right. I don't know the rules. I play by my own rules. All right. So where were we? All right. Let's just get into it. Let me tell you all the stuff. See, it's a new format for the show, so I'm a little bit, all over the place. So we're going to get into the letter. That's our big thing. That's going to be the big thing off the top. We're going to go deep. I got a whole bunch of stuff I want to talk about. I don't even know if the letter's real. I don't know. We're going to talk about that. What do we think? Okay, because I don't know what to believe anymore. All right, that's topic one. That's the big one. The second one we're going to talk about is this Stephen Colbert situation. Stephen Colbert has been the Colbert Show late night programming has been axed by CBS. And again, if you're going by what we're seeing on social media, there seems to be very cut and dry reasons. We're going to delve into that because that is really complicated. That is what is going on with CBS cutting ties with Stephen Colbert is very complicated. And I don't think that people understand two aspects of this story. First, Stephen Colbert is the highest rated nighttime talk show host in America. He beats Fallon, he beats Kimmel, he beats The Daily Show, whatever else you want to throw in there. Now, I will qualify that statement by saying nobody watches late night talk show. So even being number one is like, and Colbert probably makes like $20 million a year, or something like that. Some ridiculous amount. Anyway, nobody's watching. You can't sustain. I'll get into it. I'll break it down. He's also a critic of Trump, so we'll have to get into that. There's a whole bunch of moving parts in that I want to go through so that we all have at least the context of what we're seeing there. Oh, and by the way, he's going to be on for the next year. Like, you realize he wasn't just cut. It wasn't anyway, we'll move on. All right, so we're going to talk about the Colbert thing. Also, an interesting story from the United Kingdom. That's right, our cousins across the pond with the terrible teeth and awful food. Good music, though. the English have lowered their voting age to 16. They're going to let 16-year-olds vote. Now, let the pandering begin, huh? Now, why is this important to us? Because there is a movement in this country to lower the voting age to 16 as well. So let's talk about what that would look like. Let's talk about, oh my God. Oh, we're already pandering in politics to the absolute dumbest and poorly informed out there. We do it on the right and on the left. Whatever the stupidest potential voter is, we're going to make sure we get that vote. We're already doing that. So now we're just going to add emotional immaturity and lack of life experience to that mix. Yeah. All right, we'll get into that. 16-year-olds voting. I don't think so. I don't think they should even be allowed to drive anymore. A 16-year-old in 2025 is what a 12-year-old was in 2010. I'm convinced of it. Hey, man, if a 50-year-old man in 2025 is like, 50's the new 35. I'm like, okay, I'll sign off on that. That means my 41st birthday is coming up. 41st birthday. I'll be 41 on Sunday if we're using that kind of math. Also, we're going to talk about another thing concerning the Gen Zers. Not only are we considering giving them a vote, but there's been a conversation online and in mainstream media. I saw this on both News Nation and CNN. And that is the phenomena of the Gen Z stare. Do you know what the Gen Z stare is? I do. I got one. He's 16 and he does it all the time. And I don't know if it's necessarily caused by what people are saying it's caused by. All right, so we'll get into this phenomena. Why does your Gen Zer stare at you like that? It's so weird. And they do it. They really do. The Gen Z stare. We got a little bit of an update there on the CEO of astronomer.com, or is it astronomy.com? I don't know. Bad branding for him. He should have been. I'm not sure. You'd think this would be a good opportunity for the company, just to get their name out there, because no press is bad press. Anyway, the astronomer CEO, he went to a Coldplay show and he, I guess he was cheating on his wife. We got an update on that. We'll cover that as well. I also, if we have time, and who knows, these are some of the things that I didn't post about, but I want to talk about this McDonald's marketing strategy. McDonald's, I love me some McDonald's. What American doesn't? I'll tell you, a communist who thinks they're going to live forever. We ain't living forever. Eat your McDonald's and enjoy. McDonald's doing a bit of a marketing ploy. And it got me. Oh, it got me. I'm down. It works. So we'll talk about that as well. McDonald's. And then I want to talk a little bit about, I like, me, I like me some sports. I'm a sportsy guy. I enjoy sports. I enjoy sports talk. I think it'd be too easy. I think sports talk is way too easy and way too limiting. That's why I've never really pursued it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Somebody offers me a job. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it at this stage. Like, I'll do anything for the health insurance. Whatever. You want me to talk up opera records? Is that a thing? Do people talk up? Hey, man, coming up, we've got Vivaldi. I mean, is that a thing? I don't know. But I would do that for the health insurance. Fox Sports has made some sweeping changes over the last couple of days, and we'll talk about that. All right, all of those topics, plus anything else that pops up organically, we'll just get into here. Frankie's here, my guy Frankie. I love me, Frankie. Al, Mama B also tipped the show yesterday. Holy shit. You people are incredible. By the way, my rule that I said, I go, I gotta somehow justify being able to do these shows with these hours. And I said, you know what, $20 a show. If I can just, get to $20 a show, let me tell you, with all the people who tipped, we got shows for the next week, and I'll be awarding those, sponsored by accordingly. Thank you, guys. We're just gonna call them my birthday tips. Yeah, why not? All right, let's get started. Let's talk about the letter. So last night, this ruined my night. I had good plans last night. And when I say good plans, I mean just probably terrible plans to anybody who's fun. But my plan was, this is a big night for me, okay? I was gonna eat a fried egg and ham and cheese sandwich. It's gonna be my dinner. It's gonna be delicious. I was really looking forward to that. I only allow myself, that's a treat of mine. I put a little hot sauce, Cholula sauce on there, and oh my God, it's so good. But I only allow it once a week. And this was my week. I was supposed to have my fried egg and ham and cheese sandwich. Oh, it's toasted. Oh, it's so good. The yolk breaks, and then the bread gets all, and the ham and cheese get covered in the egg yolk, and it's, oh my God. And then there's the hot, is so good. So I was going to do that, and then I was going to, also, you know what I'm doing lately? This can't be good. This can't be good for me in any way, shape, or form. So at the Kroger that I go to, I'm like the world's greatest Kroger shopper because I know where all the deals are. I know where they hide the discounted stuff. They've got like at the Kroger I go to, they've got shopping carts that they just fill with like severely discounted items, good items too. Don't even know why some of the stuff is in there. Well, I do. It's how you buy like a big bag of Starbucks Valentine's heart coffee the day after Valentine's Day for $3. That's so if you find that like after 4th of July, you know what I did? I bought like 10 boxes of Twinkies. They were red, white, and blue 4th of July Twinkies, but they were only $1 each. And I got a 16-year-old who enjoys Twinkies. So we're Twinkie rich. So anyway, I was going to eat my egg and my fried egg sandwich, and I was going to eat my latest thing, which is at the Kroger. They've got in the discount cooler, last chance cooler. They've got nothing but those frozen pops, freeze pops. They're stupid. They're usually like $3.99. They're selling them for like 50 cents a bag. So I bought like $10 worth. I got like 20 bags of like frozen freezer pops. Every night I eat like 10 of them. Every night I get like 10 of them after my egg sandwich. I take like 10 of those little frozen pop things, and I go just 10 of them in a row. So that was my night plan. I was going to have my fried egg sandwich. I was going to eat just a ridiculous amount of freeze pops. And then I was going to watch Animal Kingdom on Netflix. I was going to binge like 5 episodes. I love Animal Kingdom. Has Netflix gotten you with Animal Kingdom yet? Oh my God. I can't stop watching it. I started watching, there's like 6 seasons or something. I started watching it like a week ago. I think I started watching it a week ago today. And I'm like, already, I got to finish season 3. Let's go. Oh my God. White trash dirtbags. I would love, if you're familiar with Animal Kingdom and Sons of Anarchy, this will make sense to you. I would love to see a crossover episode where these two dirtbag families come together, the Codys and the Tellers. So that was my plan. So I settle in, and then all of a sudden I get breaking news alerts that there's some big news story. And sure enough, the Wall Street Journal about 8:00 last night drops a massive bombshell of a story concerning the Epstein list. The Epstein story, not the Epstein list. So let's give context here. It's been almost 2 weeks since the Department of Justice was tasked by the administration. I don't want to say tasked by Trump. I don't know how these things work. But it's been about 2 weeks since Bongino and who's the other guy? The guy with the eyes that go, that guy, the guy who should it's like, really? Nobody, it's good he was appointed because nobody would ever vote for that weird looking guy. Who is that guy? Patel. There you go. I struggled with Patel. Let me tell you something. As a white guy, I'm in my head going, don't say Indian, don't say Indian, don't say Indian guy. And I'm trying to think of the guy's name, and I couldn't think of it. Turns out it's like the most common Indian guy's name in the world. Patel. And Biondi. So it's been like 2 weeks now since they all got together and said nothing to see here. That caused, of course, a storm on all sides, really, of America, who is concerned about the influence of high-powered, influential pedophiles in the government and corporate America. And we were told to just look away, nothing here. That was 14 days ago. Remember the rule? The rule is 10 days. Remember, if you're still talking about a story in 10 days, it ain't going away until somebody's scalp is, nailed to the wall. It's been way over that. And the Epstein list story and this White House, this administration's not allowing for the people that voted for them to see what they were promised has caused problems. And it started out with, I don't even know where we are. We went through the list of distractions yesterday. It started out with, like, there's nothing to see here. And then it was like, well, there are some names, but their names are victims and blah, blah. Then there was that. Then like a week into it, remember Trump got mad and he was in that meeting with the press and he's like, why are you idiots still interested in Epstein? Well, that caused a huge problem because I think Trump took his base for granted. I think that he might have just, well, look, I'm being nice. I got to stop saying I think. Dude, Trump looked at a bunch of low information rubes who have been ginned up by conservative talk radio and Fox News for 20 years and went, I can totally win these idiots over. I think that's how he looks at his base. So when he decided, for whatever reason, and I'm not going to right now go into any of the conspiracy theories as to why he doesn't want the names released, but for whatever reason, he said, no, there's nothing to see here. And I think that he believed that him simply saying that would cause his crazy ass base to go like, okay, never mind. And they didn't. So this story isn't going away. There's like a fracture among incredibly influential MAGA people. I said yesterday, he's completely lost cool MAGA. Joe Rogan is now booking that Texas congressman kid that everybody likes. That's like super religious, but hates the way Trump screws religious people or, screws up the word of God or whatever it is. I don't even know. I don't get into it. I'm not religious, but Trump has lost cool guy media. Theo Vaughn is breaking bad on him. You had Shane Gillis at the ESPYs, a huge platform, making fun of, we'll just move on, I guess. I guess that's not something we're, the vibe, the narrative has shifted. And I think that, Trump is panicking a little bit. He lost cool guy MAGA. Doesn't mean they won't come back, but on this issue, they're very influential. And the tide has gotten ugly on social media. Even Truth Social, Trump's own platform, has had, for the first time ever, really high-profile people and influencers on that platform questioning openly. All right, so where are we on this thing? So last night, the Wall Street Journal released a story about a supposed letter that was sent to Jeffrey Epstein on the occasion of his 50th birthday. Now, the letter is done in a weirdo dialogue style. It says, it'll say like Donald Trump, and then there'll be dialogue. And then it says Jeffrey Epstein. And then there'll be dialogue, like a script, if you're familiar with. So it's supposed to be the letter, an example of dialogue between Donald Trump and his good friend Jeffrey Epstein on the 50th birthday. Donald Trump also then apparently drew an outline, a crudely drawn outline in black marker of a nude woman's silhouette, okay, and signed it Donald J. Trump on the occasion of your 50th birthday or whatever. All right, so the story goes that that letter in that drawing from Trump to Epstein, the story goes, was a part of a leather-bound fancy book that Ghislaine Maxwell was putting together for Jeffrey Epstein's birthday. The book contained letters, just like Trump's, from all kinds of Epstein friends, all kinds of admirers and business associates and whatever. Okay. So the story says that Ghislaine Maxwell reached out to Donald Trump, asked if he would participate in this book, and he said happily, and he provided the letter and the picture. Apparently, this information was involved in the Virginia Joffrey case that occurred in Minneapolis, the case that, roped in the whole royal family and all of that. Well, because this is all private information, all that, it was never released to the public, and this is an example, although nobody is saying it is, but it is an example of the kind of thing that the Department of Justice might be hiding, right? So the Wall Street Journal gets a hold of this story, right? Let's use the proper words. This is a story that the Wall Street Journal and their editorial board believe to be true, right? They're running this story. And the story is released. So the first thing we got to ask ourselves is, was this possible? Because there's been a lot of pushback from, Trump himself I love this. Like in the minutes following, of course, President Trump is on social media banging out, "This is a lie. That doesn't sound like me." And I don't draw. I've never drawn. He said the weirdest thing too. He said, "What was it? I've never wrote a drawing." Like on social media, I never wrote a drawing. Which suggests to me that he was freaking out, that he was mad and he was just banging out, "I never wrote a drawing." Like that sounds like something a stupid person says. And he's not stupid to that degree. He's just, I don't even think he's stupid. I think he's actually quite Machiavellian. I think that he's a great manipulator. Anyway. So he doesn't draw, right? So apparently that's not true. I mean, I don't draw. This can't be true. I've never wrote a drawing. Well, he does draw. He draws a lot, okay? In 2008, from his book, Never Give Up, okay? This is a book that he wrote, all right? Remember last night, in the initial pushback against Wall Street Journal, I don't draw. I never draw for, whatever it is that he says. All right, so this comes from his 2008 book, Never Give Up. He says, they've been doing for so many, hold up. Where is what I'm looking for? Okay, here, he doesn't draw. This is from his book, Never Give Up. They've been doing this for many years. This, too, takes a lot of time to arrange, but I do it every year. Sometimes being a giver will open you up to new talents. Remember, this is Donald Trump talking. Sometimes being a giver will open you up to new talents. Each year, remember last night, I don't draw. I never wrote a drawing. All right? He says that. I don't draw. And then Don Jr. is like, I've known my father his whole life. I've never seen him draw anything. This is like the initial pushback from these people. I don't draw. Again, from his book. Sometimes being a giver will open you up to new talents. Each year, I donate an autographed doodle to the Doodle for Hunger auction at Tavern on the Green. It's a great event, and contributors have included Sting, Muhammad Ali, Larry King, Al Pacino, Billy Joel, blah, blah, blah. He did this for 9 straight years. For 9 straight years, he would doodle something, and then they would auction it off. One of his things sold in 2017 for like $29,000. Some stupid, crudely drawn. Here are his drawings too. We'll show them to you. Because remember how the Wall Street Journal reported the drawing that they saw, which is this supposed drawing accompanying a letter. It's a crudely drawn black marker silhouette outline of a naked woman. Okay? Well, that's every picture that Trump has ever drawn. He uses black marker, and it's a crudely drawn outline. Here, we've got some examples of Trump drawings if you don't believe me. Actually, well, okay. Here's an example of here's just one. We won't go through them. There's a whole bunch of them, though, and you can find them. Palm Beach Daily News is where we're going to get this one from. His hometown, right? And that's like, all right, here you go. So here's an example. This is an example of one of the kinds of drawings that he did. He says he doesn't draw. Wall Street Journal reported that the drawing they saw was a crudely drawn black marker on white paper outline of a naked woman. Trump says he doesn't draw. This sold for $29,000. It is a crudely drawn black marker outline of the city. Come on. All right. So let's stop being silly. So the lies came right away, right? The other pushback is he doesn't use the word enigma. Remember, supposedly in this dialogue that he wrote for this Jeffrey Epstein 50th birthday book, the dialogue used the word enigma. He called Jeffrey Epstein an enigma. You're an enigma, or whatever he said. Pushback immediately was, that doesn't even sound like him. He's never said enigma. And then, Trump is like, I've never said the word enigma. I don't use the word enigma, which is such a weird and potentially treacherous thing to claim. When you've never used a certain word in your entire life. Dude, you've written shit tons of books. You never once said the word enigma. That's such a dumb. I've never said the word enigma in my life. So it's suspect, right? The overreaction to the story and the way you immediately push back with these ham-fisted throw whatever chum to the sharks there is, that's suspect. The way he reacted is very suspect because of course he has used the word enigma. Okay, here we go. This is, what is this? Here are some examples of Trump using, remember he used the word enigma to describe Jeffrey Epstein in the letter. So part of what we can argue here, or what he might be arguing is, I don't use the word enigma ever, but also I don't use it to describe people. All right, so here we have, this is from his book, Surviving at the Top. Okay, more from the book. He says, any discussion of Mike Tyson's affairs eventually leads to the subject of Don King. Again, this is Donald Trump writing from his book. Don, like Mike, is something of an enigma. All right, so there he goes. There's one. How about this one? This is from, let's see here. 60 Minutes. This is also from the same book, page 164. Talking about 60 Minutes editing something out of an interview that he did. He says, Dan Rather is an enigma to me. All right, so he describes people as enigmas. We know this. All right, how about this one? He says, you have superb academic credentials, but without instincts, you'll have a hard time getting to and staying at the top, Trump writes. This is one of those gray areas that remain an enigma to me. All right. He doesn't say enigma, and he doesn't draw. And we see a whole bunch of pictures of him drawings that he did. I mean, he doesn't care. He doesn't. Why? Because the people that he needs to convince that this is all a lie isn't going to see any other media because they live in their Newsmax bubble or whatever, or Real American Talk bubble. He doesn't use the word enigma. All right, so you don't like it from a book. You're like, Pugs, but in a book, he might just be, hold on, where is it? In a book, he might just be, that's a ghostwriter, Pugs. That could be anything. All right, let's see this. Here we go. All right. How about Trump using the word enigma himself on stage to describe Ben Carson? Here we go.
Now, Carson's an enigma to me.
Doesn't use the word.
I didn't say it. Carson's an enigma. Now, Carson's...
So there you go. So we just need for normal people to establish that the man fucking doodles and that he uses the word enigma. So let's just forget about those first two arguments that came from them about why the Wall Street Journal isn't real. Now let's talk about whether or not we think this Wall Street Journal story is real. What does real mean? Because I think there are two different ways for us to look at this. Is it a real story that one of their intrepid journalists stumbled across, was convinced through sourcing, and then brought to the editorial board and said, I want to run this, but it's going to be a bombshell? That's a real story, right? Or did a bunch of evil Democrats in the editorial and publishing rooms of the Wall Street Journal get together and go, let's make up a story from whole cloth? That I don't fucking believe. And you are so stupid if you believe that. Okay? You're just dumb and you don't know how it works. There are way too many people with ears in those rooms. Look, if you think that that level of corruption can occur in a major American legacy newsroom, you don't know the first thing about journalists. And you're certainly not paying attention to history, because just over the last couple of years alone, every time corporate intervention has come down on a traditional newsroom in America, that newsroom has fucking walked. Editorial directors and publishers have resigned. So we know what happens when this level of corporate interference comes to our newsrooms, especially at traditional places. The LA Times, the Washington Post. My God, the Washington Post lost half of their journalists when Bezos took over. So don't act like this would be an easy thing for the Wall Street Journal editorial guys to just create out of whole cloth, because it wouldn't. Because there are some Trump reporters who are, and there are some Wall Street Journal used to be all conservatives. It's a conservative-leaning paper. It's a business pro-Wall Street paper. if they did try to concoct a story like this just out of nowhere, okay, well, I got an idea. What if we said this? And here, I'll draw this picture and we'll say, because a lot of MAGA seems to think that that's how it happened. And I'll tell you, that's not possible. Somebody would have hit their Twitter and gone, I'm resigning my post from because this is not journalism. That would have happened. My God. You want to talk about loose cannons? Journalists. You gather like 20 journalists in a room. They cannot be counted on for anything. So stop it. Stop it with the Wall Street Journal made this up out of whole cloth. This is a real story that somebody followed, got their sources, and then convinced the editorial board to run with it. Does that mean it's true? No! Journalists get duped all the time through phony sourcing and people recanting. It doesn't mean it's true. But what we all need, all us normal people need to understand, this isn't just some evil guy with a black hood and a pitchfork in the boardroom at the Wall Street Journal making up a story out of nowhere. This story. Now, you could say, if you came to me and you said, well, yeah, Pugs, but I think that story may have been planted by Democrat operatives who were working a Wall Street Journal reporter. I'll say, very possible. Absolutely, that's a possibility. But don't tell me these fuckers are just making it up. That's not how it works. You can't contain that. All right. So, again, we're not saying it's true or not, but we are saying it is something that was published in the Wall Street Journal, and Trump's initial reaction was incredibly suspect. I don't doodle. What do you mean you don't doodle? Michael Wolff. You know Michael Wolff? Well, again, if you're in the MAGA bubble, you don't know Michael Wolff because he's been doing nothing but writing books about Trump for 20 years. Trump used to collaborate with him. He was Trump's ghostwriter, but since Trump has become much bigger than he was back then, Michael Wolff now writes books on his own, very critical of Trump. But for at least since 2016, Michael Wolff has been going on TV telling the story about how in boardrooms, Trump doodles endlessly. This is something that is known by people who get their news and information from places other than MAGA-approved sources. It's kind of a shot at him. And Michael Wolff intended when he would say these things about, well, Trump, he looks like he's so studious in these meetings, but really, if you look at his paper, he's just doodling the whole time. It was supposed to be an insult. Okay, not a good one, whatever. I fucking doodle all the time too, all right? But to pretend like that hasn't been something that people have been hearing about for years. Again, not a primary thing, but a little thing, a little like nugget, a little fun fact about Trump. I don't, there's a lot of them like he can't read. Like, have you ever seen that one? That can't be true. There's no way he can't read. There's no, Pete Davidson went on, some podcast a couple of years ago and told a story about when Trump hosted, how he couldn't read. And I don't know, like that's a little sketch, right? But whatever, the fact that he doodles in board meetings is not weird, but it is also proof again that the guy doodles, the guy draws 9 years in a row. The Doodles for Cancer charity or whatever, his shit got auctioned off. How do you just fucking bold-faced lie about that in the face of all of this evidence? All right, so he doodles. Now, as I've been saying the whole time, having an association with Jeffrey Epstein does not make one a pedophile. Just doesn't. Going to prison and interviewing a serial killer doesn't make you a serial killer, right? Living next door, that's probably a better one. Living next door to Jeffrey Dahmer and being polite to him in the hallway doesn't make you a serial killer. Jeffrey Epstein was a very big and important person in financial circles in Manhattan. There are lots of people who had daily business dealings with Jeffrey Epstein, of whom Trump, I would absolutely assume to be one. Epstein got shit financed. Trump was eternally looking to be financed for shit. That's the relationship, okay? In the beginning of all this, why didn't Trump just go, hey, let me tell you something about this whole pedophile situation in this country. You know the Jeffrey Epstein thing? I knew Jeffrey. I had to do business with that guy. And oh my God, what? Like, why didn't he just do that? Distance himself from it that way. But instead, it was all, I don't know him. I've never met him. And then we get all of these pictures and his credibility goes down. And we're like, he's just fucking lying. But when you lie about everything, you know, what the fuck? It's just another lie. This whole thing could have been handled so much better. There are a lot of big name people who could appear on Jeffrey Epstein call lists or flew on his plane, attended a party. Doesn't make them pedophiles. It makes you, you know, somebody who does business with, you know, piece of shit, big time, awful business folk. I don't know how else to say it. But this is on Trump. This is Trump's arrogance. This is Trump taking his base for granted. This is Trump thinking that he could just tell them to shut up about it and that they'd all go away. Had he been a little bit more normal and just said, I can tell you some stories about it. You see these pictures? Look at this. Look at this. But here, because of the absence of that and because of Trump just, I don't doodle, you know, all that stuff. I don't know. I never used the word enigma. Because of all of that, the way he's fighting back, I'm like, dude, I am becoming way more suspicious of your relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. And let me show you something that I think is interesting. All right, here you go. Where is this? Okay. We've all seen this video, right? This is the NBC video of some party at Mar-a-Lago. This is like, you know, 28 years ago or something, late 90s thinking. And it's not the only, you know, there are lots of pictures with Trump and Epstein partying and hanging out and socializing. But this is the one I think that is the most common, I think, that we've seen. So I want to watch this. And then I want to share with you an observation that I had about this that kind of sent a chill through my bones. All right, so there they are. There's Trump greeting Epstein, Barron's biological father, and somebody else as they enter Mar-a-Lago back in the late 90s. Trump greets you. I mean, first, can we just point that out? All right, Jeffrey Epstein didn't sneak in. He wasn't there as somebody's plus one. There's probably hundreds of people here. Donald Trump knows he's being filmed by NBC. This is what my life is like. Donald Trump said to them, let's get me greeting Jeffrey. I mean, he is giving him preferential treatment, putting him on NBC. Again, it should be noted, this is before Jeffrey Epstein's initial arrest for diddling kids back in 2003. Oh yeah, he got a couple of cracks there. Yeah. Right. Here's another thing that's interesting about Jeffrey Epstein, especially, you know, in this video. He's a little guy. He's a little Jewish guy. There's a lot of little Jewish guys. But here's what's deceptive. When you look at Jeffrey Epstein in a picture of him just from like the chest up, he's got the head of a 6'3" dude. He's got the head. He's almost got like midget head, where his head is designed for a much taller person's body. All right, here we go. Let's watch this. And I'm going to point out the thing that I noticed. Donald Trump greeting Jeffrey Epstein as they arrive at a private party at Mar-a-Lago. Okay, first of all. What a look. I mean, look. I look stupid all the time, too. And also, let me just point this out, too, about Donald Trump. Donald Trump was not an ugly man. He got weird looking as he got older because he desperately tried to hold on to his youthful looks. And that's when you got all the weirdness and orange color, and it's just weird. He's not a bad-looking guy. He's just a dumb 90s white guy here. That's I believe that's called the white man's overbite. It is the reflexive move that white guys do when they dance. Look at him. So let me point this out now. So this is Trump. Just love that picture. So here's Trump and Epstein. They're hanging out. We've all seen this. This isn't breaking news. They're hanging out. But I want you to watch this interaction between Donald Trump, President of the United States, who seems to be curiously getting in the way of people finding out everything about Jeffrey Epstein and the people that he was molesting kids with. Let's watch this. Oh, by the way, see Ghislaine right here? Look at Ghislaine in the background. Oh, yeah, she's never too far away. Trump's the best. He's like the perfect white man. Look at him. Yeah, I'm getting into it. All right. Did you see that? Did you notice anything about that? Do you notice about the way people interact with each other? Jeffrey Epstein wasn't there thinking it's cool to be with Trump. Trump was kissing Jeffrey Epstein's ass there. That's Donald Trump trying to get something from somebody. That's Donald Trump, the salesman. That's Donald Trump, the charismatic titan, telling jokes, dancing. Welcome to the party. Yeah, I know it's my party and there's a whole bunch of people here. But I'm going to spend some time with you. And then he's leaning in and he's saying things. He's trying to win this man's favor. He is trying to make this person like him more than Jeffrey Epstein gives a fuck about him. Jeffrey Epstein is standing there with his arms crossed, just watching the party, and it's Trump going, hey, how about this? Hey, are you having a good time? Hey, can I get you a drink? I mean, no, I don't know for sure that that's what he's saying, and I'm pretty sure that's not what he's saying, but you can tell that that is the energy that is going on here, and I'd never noticed that before. I'd never know, like, Trump, like, I did business with him and all that kind of shit. No. This video here, and I read people well. If I was sitting on a beanbag chair in the corner watching this from across the room, I'd go, that dude Donald Trump is trying to get something from this guy. One more time. All right, there you go. All right, so now we've got that. Now I'm thinking, my God, this was back in 1997, I think. And if you believe what I believe now, seeing this, that this is not Donald Trump, being the gracious, welcome to my party. I'm glad you can arrive. You could come. Please have a good time. Nice to meet you. And then they moved on. That's not this Donald Trump. This Donald Trump is, man, so glad you made it. Hey, if you get a minute later, I'd like to talk to you about. That's what this Donald Trump is. A Donald Trump who is actively courting the favor of Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we're seeing here. And if you're not seeing that, then you're an idiot and you don't know how to read people. You should probably stay out of large business deals. Now, why is this important, having occurred in 1997? Because this is when they were friends. This is when they were friends. This is when Jeffrey Epstein was arranging financial deals for Trump business ventures and all these kinds of things. That's why they were friends. It was business. Although here, maybe it looks like it's a little bit more. It looks like maybe party boys. So why is that important? Because we now, knowing the Donald Trump, the president of the United States, the most powerful person in the world, the god of MAGA, the Mr. He never apologized, the Mr. He's hard and gruff, and some would call him maybe a bit of a bully or whatever, but hey, others would say, but he gets things done. He's that guy in 2025. That guy is very different from this guy that we just saw. The guy that we think of today is very different than the sycophant sucking up to a billionaire financier to try and get a deal done. It's a little different. And this occurred at a different time. Well, so did the writing of the letter for Epstein's 50th birthday. So when people look at that letter and they go, I could never see Trump doing that. I could never. Why would he do that? He doesn't care about. We've got video here of Trump actively trying to get on the good side of Jeffrey Epstein. We've got a video here of Trump being way out of character in the presence of Jeffrey Epstein. So when they try to tell you that, this is completely not what Trump's about, you know him. Could you see the president of the United States doing this? No, I couldn't. But after seeing this video and understand that people change and the motivations are different and that Jeffrey Epstein back at this time was far wealthier than Trump, far wealthier. And Trump needed him in his contacts to be able to, finance things and all of that. So, okay, so there we have that. We've got this question now of, do we believe the Wall Street Journal letter could be true? Yes, I am saying yes. I believe it could be true. So what does that entail? That means, do I believe that for the 50th birthday of Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump was contacted by Ghislaine Maxwell, who we saw in the background, and asked, I'm putting together this leather-bound book for Jeffrey's 50th birthday, and I would really love it if you would write a little something. Do I believe that that happened? Yes. Especially seeing that video. He'd have been like, oh, I'll draw a picture too. What does Jeffrey like? Well, he likes women. I'll draw a naked woman. I don't draw. And then like an hour later, the internet is just filled with his drawings, which, by the way, are done in a style that is exactly what the Wall Street Journal said the Jeffrey Epstein drawing was. A black marker, crudely drawn outline on white paper. So, does Donald Trump writing this letter to Jeffrey Epstein mean Donald Trump's a pedophile? Again, no. No, it doesn't. It just means that Donald Trump was working another financial guy in New York. That's all. That's all it means. That's all we know. Now, we're extrapolating a lot because of what we know now about Jeffrey Epstein and about the behavior of Donald Trump. And we're thinking, oh, let's read this Wall Street Journal letter closely and let's see exactly. Oh, it's very cryptic. Oh, which, if I'm being honest, holy shit, that doesn't help. It really does. It is cryptic. It's weirdly cryptic. Like, I mean, we live in a conspiratorial age, and there is no way that back when he did or did not write the letter, 2003, I believe, there is no way. There's no way that, you know, they knew that the letter would be revealed in 2025 and that this cryptic. So it's not a bit. Whatever that is cryptic on purpose. But my God, I mean, it's just weird enough for people to go, what does he mean by enigma? Or what does he mean by? So that, like, you know, they didn't help themselves. All right. So do I believe Donald Trump? Well, first of all, do I believe that the Wall Street Journal journalists actually found this story in the way that journalists find stories? Yes. So I do not believe it's made up. Okay. Do I believe that Donald Trump sent this letter to Jeffrey Epstein on the occasion of his 50th birthday? Yes, I do. Yes, I do, based on everything that I've just laid out for you. Do I believe that means that, well, we've got evidence Donald Trump's a pedophile? No, I do not. Now, so if I believe the story was found in the proper way, if I believe that what they're asking is, do you believe that he wrote this letter? I believe that. Yes, I believe he wrote the letter. Now, the next question is, do I believe Trump sat down at a typewriter and typed this thing out? Abso-fucking-lutely not. It's not what happened. Here's what happened. If you know anybody who's powerful or a CEO or whatever, or famous people, if you even know famous people, they are constantly being asked for, can you donate this to a charity? Can you do this to that? So here's how I imagine this went down. Ghislaine Maxwell called Donald Trump. Trump was like, Ghislaine, how are you, beautiful? Blah, blah, blah. Because they were friends, right? And he wasn't a toxic person at this point. Oh, Ghislaine, how are you? And she's like, Donald, Jeffrey's 50th birthday is coming up. I've got this wonderful idea. I'm reaching out to all of his most prominent friends, and I'm asking them to contribute a letter, you know, just talking about Jeffrey, and I'm going to get it leather bound. It's going to be beautiful. Trump was probably like, oh, of course. Oh, what would you like me to say, Ghislaine? What? I'll even doodle a picture, right? Something like that. What would you like me to say? And then maybe, because I've said this. Look, this is I've had any number of really good interns and producers who I really wanted to support and see go far come to me and say, would you do something? Would you write a letter for me for my resume or something like that? And I look at them and I say, you write the letter. You are fucking awesome. You did nothing but a tremendous job for me. You write the letter and I will sign it. So that is probably the way Trump operates. He's not going to go, wait a second, I know we're late for the Met Gala, but I got to sit here at my little workstation and type this. No. He said to Giselle, what should I say? And she gave him some ideas. And then Trump went to one of his super hot assistants and he said, hey, I need you to write a letter. Here's how we want it to be. And then he drew the picture and signed it and gave it to him. And that's where we are. Okay? That's where we are. So do I believe the story? Yes. What I don't believe is, one, the response and the pushback to the story. And then the real panic came in a couple hours later. You remember a couple hours after the story broke last night, around 10 o'clock, Trump tweeted something like, I'm telling Pam Biondi to release select pieces from the grand jury. And everybody was like, not going to do it, dude. What do you mean select pieces? I mean, me personally, at this point, we've crossed the Rubicon. I'm going to just believe what I believe. Do I think it's possible that Trump was diddling? I bet he tried. I bet he had a taste of it. Why not? He just seems like that kind of immoral, well, whatever. So I believe that somewhere in my head. I wouldn't take it to court. I don't have any evidence of it, but it's just all about, what do I think this guy's possible? Do I believe that? Yeah, I do. I can't prove it though. And the response from the White House certainly doesn't lessen my suspicions. All right, so what else do we have here on this story? So we did the Ben Carson, the video. We did that. All right, so we got the stories about all of the pictures. We covered that. Yep, okay, that's it. Yeah, cryptic letter. Crude black marker drawing, outline of nude women. And again, all of this about the Wall Street Journal that I've just said doesn't mean the story's true. It doesn't mean the story's true. It doesn't, okay? But what I'm commenting on is the process. The process that the journalists went through to create this story was legitimate. I believe it was legitimate because it's the fucking Wall Street Journal. And I know that people think that means nothing, but high journalism school here. It fucking means something. The Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the LA Times, the Chicago Tribune, the Dallas fucking Morning News. Those are legitimate newsroom comprised of real journalists. They're biased journalists. I don't know about that. I just know that these are people who are schooled in the art of finding and sourcing stories. Okay, so it's a real story. Is he a pedophile? I don't know. And I don't even know. And again, going back to, it's a real story. It's a real story that was come across the way you're supposed to, but is the story true? Did he write that letter? Again, I still don't know that, but I believe he did based on everything else in the way he was sucking up to Epstein, in the way that wasn't an equal friendship. That video shows me it's not an equal friendship. The video that we watched shows me that Trump is trying to win Epstein's favor, not the other way around. All right, there we go. That's all I got on that. And I am sure we will be back on Monday for more weirdness from the Trump Epstein list. All right, very good. By the way, I'm also working on a song. I'm like, oh man, I wish I was on the radio and had like a team of producers, because I would have unveiled this afternoon my version of The Letter. The letter, the Box Top song. Give me a ticket for an aeroplane. Ain't got time to take a fast train. Lonely days are gone. I'm a coming home. My baby, she wrote me a letter. Well, she wrote me a letter saying couldn't live without me no more. Anyway, I would have wrote a parody song. I had one too. I was working on it. The whole way in here, I was singing the parody song. But I won't share it with you because, I don't have that level of confidence anymore in my game. All right, let's move on. Story 2, the other big story today, or at least as far as I'm concerned, Stephen Colbert has been fired from CBS. Bye-bye, funny boy. I think Colbert's a genius comedically. I think that there are very few people who can do the kind of deadpan character comedy that Stephen Colbert does and get away with it. He is brilliantly talented. You want to hear a funny story about Stephen Colbert? Back in the 90s, and I would have seen him, but I don't remember seeing these two particular guys. That's not true. I do remember. All right, I'll get to the story. Like back in the 90s at Second City in Chicago, which is a training ground for comedy actors. It's not a comedy club, right? You're like, who's doing stand-up at the Second City? It's not that. You go to Chicago, you don't go to the Second. You go to Chicago and you see the Second City, and what you're seeing is like Saturday Night Live. You're seeing like a live performance of sketches, except Second City is improv and it's different. And I don't want to get into it. Anyway, back in the 90s, check this out. Hold on, wait, I want to make sure I got it right. It was, yes. So the Second City has a main stage performers. Every year, people become main stage performers, and it's a huge fucking deal. Because after you're named a main stage Second City performer, the next call is from Lorne Michaels. So, you know, it's that kind of a thing. So every year in Chicago, it's like, oh, who got the main stage at Second City? Because whoever that is going to be a big star, or at least someone you should start paying attention to. So the main stage in the early 1990s was a number of people, like Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, and all. I've told stories about them. But also, it was Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert was also on that main stage list of amateur, up-and-coming young comedic actors. Do you know who his backup was? They all had a backup. They all had an understudy. Stephen Colbert's backup was Steve Carell. I mean, my God. Holy shit. Really? You couldn't make room for both of them on the stage? One of them had to be the bench guy to the other? That's a fucking mistake. Somebody made that mistake. Anyway, Stephen Colbert, who started out as a Second City performer, he broke onto the scene with The Daily Show. The original good Daily Show. Well, no, I guess that's not the original, because the original Daily Show is Craig Kilborn. Remember him? And he was good too. That was good. And then Craig Kilborn left The Daily Show. And I was like, so we're not going to have 5 questions anymore? That was a great bit. The first like 5 years of The Daily Show, Craig Kilborn would have a guest on, and he just had 5 random questions for him. And I thought that was brilliant. So Kilborn leaves, and they bring in this Jon Stewart, who I knew. He was a comic. He's all right. Wasn't a huge fan. Didn't have a whole lot of faith that I would be watching The Daily Show for much longer. And oh my God, was I wrong? Yeah. Jon Stewart's Daily Show created a cast of performers who acted as correspondents. Daily Show's a fictional news show. It was brilliant. And that was the first time I saw Stephen Colbert. Stephen Colbert was on also Steve Carell was too. But Stephen Colbert came from there, and he was kind of the breakout correspondent, the funniest correspondent. So he was given the 10:30 slot after The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, which turned into the Colbert Report, where Stephen Colbert played a character who used his real name. So Stephen Colbert, the real guy, was playing a character also named Stephen Colbert, and the character was completely different than the real Stephen Colbert. The character on the Colbert Report was a takeoff on a Bill O'Reilly type, right? It was a really low information but super passionate and articulate guy who was selling bullshit, and it was comic genius for its time. The Colbert Report is still one of the best shows I've ever seen on television. So anyway, after a couple of years of that show being successful, there was no way that Comedy Central could contain him, because it was clear to everybody that he was capable of much more. And that's when CBS came in and destroyed his career by dumping a crap ton of money and saying, come take over late night. Stephen Colbert's been doing late night, the Late Show, if you will, for 20 years, more than that. I don't know. It's been a very long time, maybe 15 years or so. Anyway, yesterday, CBS shocked the world when they announced that the Colbert Show, Late Show with Stephen Colbert, would be canceled. Now, there was a lot of different reaction to this. A lot of Colbert fans are deeply upset, as is expected with any kind of, show cancellation. Although I would say to the diehard and very angry Colbert fans, where the fuck were you? I mean, a little too late, I think. And then the other side of it is the, we'll just call it the MAGA side. They're very loud. We'll just give them credit where credit is due. The MAGA side is very effective on social media. their whole thing is, another noted Trump critic is, down and out and blah, blah, blah. And they're laughing and they're enjoying. But the facts are a lot more complicated than that as to why Stephen Colbert is gone. Stephen Colbert, there's also a third group of people out there who are trying to draw the correlation between the current situation with Paramount and Skydance. Paramount is the parent company of CBS, the network that produces the Colbert Report. Paramount has been desperately trying to merge with Skydance for a year. I mean, we are talking about billions and billions of dollars in this merger, and they've been having some trouble. You may remember a couple of months ago, CBS dropped their or settled the lawsuit with Trump. Trump said 60 Minutes edited something out, and CBS suddenly caved, shocking everybody. They're like, wait a second, you're not going to defend journalism? And they're like, no, we're just going to pay them off and make this go away. Well, they did that because of the Paramount Skydance merger. They need the approval of the White House in order for this multi-billion-dollar deal to go through. So that was the first indication that, oh my God, okay, CBS is just rolling over for everything in order to get in the good graces of this guy and hopefully get this merger passed. So Stephen Colbert, a very high-profile and noted and consistent critic of President Trump, the MAGA movement, this White House, Republicans in general, and conservative ideologies being fired, raised a lot of alarm bells from people who are like, hold on, what is happening here? CBS caved with the 60 Minutes thing. Now they're firing Stephen Colbert. Now, you people who don't like Stephen Colbert for maybe it doesn't take anything more than the fact that he doesn't like Trump and you hate him and he's talentless because of it, because you're reductive and lack nuance. If you're one of those people, you're probably like, he's fired. But he was the highest rated late night talk show in American network TV. Better ratings than Fallon, better ratings than Kimmel. Kimmel and Fallon's are still there. I think Kimmel and Fallon's are still there. So that people are confused, right? Like, why did they fire the highest rated guy in network late night talk? Oh, but wait, they are in this, they are trying to merge with Skydance and they need to appeal to Trump and he's got to be okay with the merger. So let's publicly fire one of Trump's greatest critics. And so that's what some people are saying. And I think that might be part of it. I think there can be a whole bunch of moving parts as to why this decision was made. But the narrative coming from MAGA that he was fired because he had terrible ratings and nobody liked him and he was talentless, that's bullshit. It's the highest paid talk show host in late night TV, or a highest rated talk show host in late night TV. The problem comes with where I just slipped up. He's also the highest paid one. And although it's nice to be able to look at Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and say, hey, I dominate you guys in the ratings, doesn't really mean anything because nobody watches late night TV anymore. Nobody does. The numbers are a fraction of what they were when Johnny Carson was watching. I mean, people just don't do it. Multiple generations have grown up not watching late night television. My kid doesn't even know what it is. It's a stupid idea in 2025. It only appeals to people who have been conditioned to know what they're looking at. No young generation wants to watch a TV star talk about bullshit pre stuff. I mean, all the stuff they're saying isn't raw and live like a podcast. No, it's an old-timey presentation. Look, late night television in general is going away. So stop with the whole, he wasn't getting ratings. They should replace him with, they replacing him with anything. Are you kidding me? Stephen Colbert was probably making $20 million a year, and his show couldn't make that much in advertising anymore because nobody is tuning in to watch late night television anymore other than your Aunt Martha and your granddad. That's it. And guess what? They're lovely people. I love Aunt Martha. She makes the best potato salad I've ever had. But Aunt Martha doesn't buy shit. Advertisers don't give a fuck what Aunt Martha is watching. They want 19-year-old Cousin Ricky. And guess what? Cousin Ricky doesn't tune into late night talk shows. So they're all going away. It just so happens that this is a way for CBS to also score points with the White House by publicly axing one of Trump's greatest critics. All right, so hold on, I got to do this. I'm sweating so bad. The air conditioning is still not fixed, and it's like 105 outside, so you can only imagine. It's probably 93 in here. Whew. All right, where am I? Okay, so ratings were good. Here's the other thing, too. Like, people who are crowing. Ha ha, glad I don't have to hear him anymore. First of all, you didn't have to hear him before. That is a tweet that I got into a comment war with earlier today. So well, at least I don't have to hear. I'm like, what do you mean have to? What? I also think that MAGA is so angry or feeling so good about the Stephen Colbert thing because I think MAGA voters are some of the last people watching late night television. And I think they're very familiar, maybe. Old people, right? Like old people love Trump. So maybe what do they think? They're going to bring Jack Parr back. It's too expensive. Stephen Colbert making $20 million. The show probably makes 10. I don't know. Anyway, nobody watches that shit anymore. All right, so there you go. I don't know what Stephen Colbert should do? A podcast. There you go. That's where the money is. That's where everybody's making their money now. Not for long. I mean, the podcast market is about to top off. It's about to get completely bloated but Stephen Colbert needs to get in right now and do a podcast and probably sign like a $100 million deal with Spotify right out of the box because he'll get that. All right, what else do we have here? Let's see. All right, we did the letter story from the Wall Street Journal. We did the Colbert story. It is that time in the show once again where I like to remind you, please support this kind of talk radio. Kind of talk radio that's just out here trying to figure out the world one day at a time. Let's see, what else do we have here? Okay. So in the UK, and by the way, I'm not entirely sure where's this story at. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Dateline, London. Britain is lowering its voting age to 16, and it's getting a mixed reaction. Let me tell you about what they're doing here. One last thing about Colbert. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this. They ain't canceling his show until next year. You know that he's got another year of being on the air. Colbert is going to be on tonight, and he's going to be on tomorrow, and he's a lame duck, and he doesn't give a fuck. So if you thought that he was going to somehow, no, it's going to be wild. Anyway, yeah, he's got a year. In May of 2026 is when CBS is axing the Colbert Report. All right, back to London. It says here there's been a mixed reaction in Britain to the government's announcement that it will lower the voting age from 18 to 16 before the next national election. The Labour Party administration says it's part of a package of changes to strengthen British democracy and help restore trust in politics. The opposition to the move says it's a power grab by the left. Experts say it's complicated with mixed evidence about how lowering the voting age affects democracy and election outcomes. All right, so goes on to talk about how this is something that has been discussed here in the United States, especially since the American left is panicking, right? Like they're like, we can't get any votes. So what do? Typically, younger voters tend to lean left. So you lower the voting age. Oh, just in time for the midterms, right? We're going to have every 16-year-old moron in the country. My kid is 6. I got a 16-year-old son. Before I'm going to call him moron, idiot, jackass, stupid, all of those things in the next couple of minutes. So let me preface this by saying he is in the National Honor Society. He has never gotten anything less than an A. I can't say that anymore. He got a B. He got a B last semester. Oh, but we don't talk about that. He's very smart. He's a very good student, and he's smart. But he's also a moron and an idiot and 16 years old and doesn't really have any life experience to draw upon. So he's all just, well, here's what I think. And it's absolute. And that's how 16-year-olds are. And we hate them while at the same time loving them. Yeah, 16s. Here's what I do appreciate. I know that I feel the need that I got to say good things about him because I'm about to trash his entire age group. I would say that the positives of me hanging out with my 16-year-old son way outweigh the negatives. But the negatives are the ones that scar, right? The negatives are the ones I remember. Oh, my God. Anyway, so we're going to let them vote. What is that going to mean? I mean, what kind of things are 16-year-olds suddenly going to want that are going to be front and center when people are campaigning? I mean, it's already weird. I'm like in my 50s. I'm not old, but there's things like I don't get what he's talking about. How weird is it going to get with 16-year-olds? I do not think 16-year-olds should vote. I'm sorry. I think that's too young. I don't even think that 18-year-olds should vote. I think 18-year-olds are too young. I think 18-year-olds are dumb. 18-year-olds in 2025 are 15-year-olds in 2010. I'm locking that in. I don't know. Let's go back into this story. Maybe to spur some thoughts. Britain's voting age last fell in 1969 when the United Kingdom became one of the first major democracies to lower it from 21 to 18. I think it should be 21, if we're being honest. I think we should just reserve the electoral process to grown-ups. All right. No gray area in the grown-ups. 21, you can drink, right? I think that's what it should be. All right. So also military. I think 21. I think you should have to drafts should be 21, not 18. I think you can join the military at 18. You can join, you can volunteer. I think like if we ever have a draft again, 21. Anyway. All right, so they lowered it in 69 from 21 to 18, and now the government in England says that it will lower the threshold to 16 by the time of the next general election. This will likely be 2029. That will bring the whole country into line with Scotland and Wales, which have semi-autonomous governments, and already let 16-year-olds vote in local and regional elections. What? Oh, my God. Now, if you told me that, the Central African Republic of Bananistan allows 10-year-olds to vote, I'd be like, yeah, totally. Bananistan, they're nuts. Scotland? Scotland's fucking letting 16-year-olds vote? Supporters argue that 16-year-olds in Britain can work and pay taxes, so they should be allowed to vote. No. No. I mean, look, they're allowed to work because we can't let 10-year-olds, because we can't force 10-year-olds to work anymore. So 16, let's go. Grab a shovel there, Bobby. And they pay taxes because everybody pays fucking taxes. What are you suggesting? That a 16-year-old summer worker should be exempt from taxes? For what reason? It says here, supporters argue that 16-year-olds in Britain can work and pay taxes, so they should be allowed to vote. It's quoting here, if you pay in, you should have the opportunity to say what you want your money spent on, Prime Minister Keir Starmer said. Pro-democracy organizations welcomed the lower age and moved towards automatic voter registration, saying that it would help increase voting rates. Turnout in the 2024 election in Britain was 59.7%. The lowest level in more than 2 decades. The age change is part of a package of electoral reforms that includes tightening campaign financing rules, that's good, and broadening the range of documents that can be used for identification at polling stations. Blockbuster cards! Can I vote with my old Blockbuster card? I'm going to need to see some isn't that an interesting? It's nice to see that they also have an identification process there. I have never voted in my life without being asked for a driver's license that matches the voter roll address. I have never voted and not been asked for an ID, which is why I don't understand this whole problem with they want people to be required to have ID to vote. I've always been required to have ID to vote. What is the problem here? I mean, you hear the issue is that, well, not all people, there are disenfranchised who don't have any form of identification. Like, all right, so then let's offer free identification. It's just, anybody who wants something official can go on down to the post office or something. I mean, all right, let's get them identified. I get it. There are a lot of people who, if they don't drive, they don't have a driver's license. And then, of course, you can go and get your state ID card and all of that. And a lot of people do. But there's also a lot of people who are just like, yeah, I don't really have a need. Super poor people don't have bank accounts. So it's not like they need a driver's license for that. You would be shocked at the way poor people especially, can get through this world without any valid form of ID. But it ain't right. So let's get them a valid form of ID, and let's make sure that everybody who walks in to vote has to prove that they are who they say they are. That's not a crazy far-right idea. That sounds real logical. And I think it sounds logical to the 70% of us who consider ourselves normal Americans. Again, the 70%, not the 15 on the right and not the 15 on the left. Now, the crazy people on the left say, you can't disenfranchise people who don't want to succumb to the name that was on their birth certificate, and they may not even be, or whatever the weird argument that you get from those people. Shut up. This is just about making sure the right person is voting. You are once again trying to disenfranchise. All right, so let's lower it to 16. The liberals will love that shit. Everybody needs a driver's license or some form of ID. I shouldn't say driver's license. Everybody needs an ID, and 16-year-olds can vote. Fine. Is this the fucking compromise? We're crazy. Quoting here now from the English story. Younger people who are in full-time education and often still live at home can make for better, more engaged first-time voters. No, they can't. Shut up. That is insane. 16-year-olds are not informed voters. 16-year-olds are informed to the extent that the people they follow on TikTok want them to be. They're in a 16-year-old in America who sits down and actually, watches real political conversation. That's not true. Actually, there's a whole bunch of fucked up 16-year-olds with their red hats. 16-year-olds who fucking wear suits in their living room and they watch Charlie Kirk and nonsense like that. But those are the unfuckable 40-year-old virgin kids. Those aren't cool kids. Not all due respect to your little red hat wearing, I love Charlie Kirk, I'm going to wear a suit and tie at 12 years old, little dork. Now, for all the shit I give my kid, at least I can look at him and go, well, he's a popular kid. He seems to be a pretty good representation of what a normal American suburban kid is. And guess what? He ain't watching Anderson Cooper or Jesse Waters. No, he's buried in his phone watching ESPN highlights of, I don't know. Kids can't vote. That's it. We're done with this. I'm going in circles. We're done. Let's not let 16-year-olds vote. It's a stupid idea. They're going to do it in England. I love that they're doing it in England because it's like no matter what happens, you can go, yeah, but they got a king. They got a king. They're not full metal democracy anyway. I know they claim they are. The king is just ceremonial. Yeah, until he decides not to be. Do you know that the King of England can walk into Parliament and dissolve Parliament? Yeah. So stop pretending like they're a good representation of what a democracy is. They are not. At any moment, the King of England can walk into the British Parliament, look around, and say, I dissolve you, and democracy is over in England. Yeah, that exists. So stop acting like they're like us. They're not like us. All right, let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, a little bit of, hold on. What do I want to do next? Do I want to do? Yeah, okay, we'll do this one next simply because We were just talking about kids. All right. The Gen Z stare. Is it real? Have you heard about this? Have you heard about this? Let me see if there's any. I didn't pull any examples because I was just going to riff about it. But all right, let's see here. Do we have any good pictures or examples? Yeah, okay. Okay, I guess these are pretty good examples. All right, so earlier in the week, a study. It was a study that was done by some, I don't even know. You don't come here for like the hardcore details. What you come here is, for my just from the hip responses to things that are happening. But some study was done and the news media picked up on it on Tuesday and it was everywhere. And then it started hitting the socials. And so, I've been seeing this everywhere. It's a new phenomenon that they are calling the Gen Z stare. Okay. Generation Z. Zillennials. Is that what they call? Is that what they call them? I don't know. Gen Z. Okay, so what is Gen Z? Gen Z is all right, hold on. I gotta start. Generation X. Generation X. Oh, and shut up. Don't. I hate when people, anytime that I do generational cohort math, somebody's gonna be like, "Oh, you're overlapping cohorts." I'm like, "Oh, shut up." This is a rule of thumb for generational math. Okay? Okay. Start with Gen X. That's what I am. Gen X, you're born between 1965 and 1980. Okay? There you go. Millennials are born between 1980 and 1995. Okay? Gen Z, the group we're talking about, born between 1995 and 2010. All right, there you go. That's Gen Z. So if you were born between 1995 and 2010, you are Gen Z. My son was born in 2009. He is at the very end of Gen Z, but he is still a Gen Zer. So would the oldest Gen Zer be 30 years old today? Yeah, right. The oldest Gen Zer would be 30 years old today. Okay. And my son is 16. So he is right there. He is at the very, very, last end. So the Gen Z stare is something that non-Gen Zers have been noticing. I noticed it in my kid all the time, and I've commented it. I don't call it a Gen Z stare. It hadn't been branded that way for me. I just call it that dopey look. Like, what's dopey look? What is with that dopey look? And the study was done, and it determined that this is not something that it's not a myth. It is a real thing. It is a resting face that the Gen Z kids seem to have. There are some specifics to it. I'll give you an example. Okay, so I get what is called the Gen Z stare for any number of reasons. If I say to my 16-year-old son, "Hey, did you find your car keys?" Because he lost his car keys. "Hey, did you find your car keys?" I will be met with the Gen Z stare. Or if I say so, "Hey, how you doing?" I'll be met with the Gen Z. I mean, it doesn't matter. He just gives it to me. What the Gen Z stare is a noticeable pause in reaction from Gen Z people when you're having a conversation with them, where for a split second, they look like they're glitching, where they are just staring through you. Now, let me show you some examples here. I just simply Google search Gen Z stare so you can look at it. And I'm going to go into what the study said this could be caused by. All right, there you go. There's, I know it just looks like a stare, but it is far more common among Gen Zers where they just stare and don't say anything for a split pause before they begin engaging. All right, so there you go. There you see some good examples of the Gen. There it is. Just a whole bunch of, and again, they're just staring. It's more than that. It is more than just staring. There you go. More of the Gen Z stare. There you go. Well, that's a critical stare. These just look like mean girls, right? But it is absolutely 100. There you go. There's a good example of the Gen Z stare. Oh my God, Sydney Sweeney. Sydney Sweeney from White Lotus. That's where this picture is taken from. This is from the first season of White Lotus. Sydney Sweeney, I believe that's where the term comes from. I think the mother said something like, the mother was the mom from Friday Night Lights in Nashville. What's her name? I love her. Connie Britton. Oh, one of my favorites. I think it was the mother who said to her, don't give me that Gen Z stare. So I think that's where it comes from. So there it is. It's that shitty look that generational Z kids give you that just makes you feel like garbage for a minute, but also makes you wonder, are you on? Are you, hello? Are you in there? All right, so what did the study say about the Gen Z stare as we look at more of these Gen Z staring off? So what is it? So first of all, let me get rid of what people seem to be running with. One of the things offered up in this investigation into what the Gen Z stare is, one of the things that was offered up was it is a conditioned response from people who are not used to being face-to-face and interacting with others. The belief here, and this is like some of the studies results, which again, I don't agree with, but in a Gen Zer's life, when they're having an interaction with somebody, there is always a pause where they have to type, whether they're texting their response or whatever. And because this has been their entire life, that they now, when they are in one-on-one conversations with people, their brain doesn't work as quick anymore because they take a moment to pause and think, where's my phone? How do I answer this? Now that's an explanation that has pleased a lot of old people who are like, see, I told you those phones were going to run. That's bullshit. I think that's bullshit. That is nonsense. That sounds like something a stupid person might believe. Let me tell you what is more likely behind the Gen Z stare. What I have noticed about the Gen Z stare is that it almost always follows either a joke, some sort of witticism that I threw at them, a put down, or, and this is the most important, a question that could elicit an awkward response on his part. Like if I ask him something, kids lie to their parents or something. Like if I ask him something that may require him to lie about the answer, right? That's the awkward. So what I believe is happening here is, and it does have to do with Gen Z being the first generation entirely raised with iPads, entirely raised with phones. And by the way, if we parents of Gen Zers are going to sit around and act like, that's all them. No, it's our fault. It's on us. It is 100% on us. I cannot tell you, I can't get my 16-year-old's nose out of a phone. But I promise you this. Back in 2011, when he was 2 or 3 years old and he was in the back seat of the car being obnoxious, I gave him happily my phone to play his little snake game on or whatever. Oh yeah, we parents of Gen Z kids, we loved what the phone and the iPad could do. Flying cross country with a kid, give them an iPad and headphones, and they're going to keep their mouth shut. So we did it. We saw this new technology as a little babysitting help. So we leaned into it. And now we've got these little monsters who don't know how to interact with anything other than a digital platform. So what happens when you confront a Gen Zer with a difficult question? It's not that they're freezing up and pausing and that the stare is the result of, them needing to, no, that's dumb. The pause is a result of them simply not being suited to have a real life interaction with somebody. That's what the Gen Z stare is. The Gen Z stare is them trying to figure out how to respond because you can't respond the way you would online because you see there are consequences to real life. So whatever it is, they are wired to respond online with all their Discord and their chat rooms and all. They are wired to be able to respond in any way they want, whether it's with pure bravado, arrogance, insults. But this is a generation that is woefully ill-suited for real life encounters. And I believe that is what the Gen Z stare is. The Gen Z stare is they just simply have never been confronted face to face like this. And can they call the person a twat or a libtard like they would on Twitter, or will they get punched in the face now? The Gen Z stare is this entire generation trying to figure out how to respond to awkward interactions with people in real life. Thank you. I rest. April says, April here chiming in the chat room about the Gen Z stare. I'm sure she's seen it. April says, Gen Z grew up with screens inches from their face, but we grew up being told to be 5 feet away from a TV or we could go cross-eyed. Right. They were. They don't This is not just because of screens either. I'll add that. I mean, the entire generation, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this generation is ruined. Oh, yeah, they're destroyed. Yeah, from our perspective, from the world that we came up in the 1980s and 90s, yeah. Yeah, this generation would be ill-suited for 1991. I will grant you that. They ain't ill-suited for 2026. They're fine. This is just the way we change as people. This is how every generation is going to be now. Because I'm sorry, but there isn't going to be a parent who's going to, I put my foot down. I'm going to let this baby cry on this flight from Boston to Philadelphia. I will not give her the iPad. That's never happening. We're going to condition every generation of kid to be just like Gen Z because that's where we live now. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It is a thing, and life will adapt to it. All right, there you have it. The Gen Z stare. What else do we have here? All right, let's wrap it up. We're going to run on a show here. Not ending. Let's see. Let's talk. Oh, no, I got a couple more things I can do. Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah, why not? All right, let's do it. Let's roll. Let's keep going. Why not? I got a couple of things I want to talk about here. Let's see. McDonald's. Let's talk about McDonald's. You know, I love McDonald's because I'm an American. I love my country, greatest country in the world. I didn't see the French creating McDonald's. French didn't even create French fries. French fries are actually from Belgium. Did you know that? We should call them Belgian fries. But they're not. They're not from France. All right, so McDonald's is doing this thing, and they got a whole bunch of viral buzz the last couple of days. Got me excited. I even shared it. I'm like, yes, please, sign me the fuck up for this. McDonald's introduced the XXL fries. They called them the shareable fries. And it is a order of French fries. McDonald's just gift to the world. You say what you want about McDonald's. It's unhealthy. Shut up. Those French fries are McDonald's French fries are a top 5 greatest tasting thing I've ever put in my mouth. I'll die on that. McDonald's French fries are a top 5 thing. Love them. So McDonald's threatening to introduce like a 5-pound bag of French fries. That sounds good to me. I don't know how big it is. It's very big. So it went, they were trending. French fries was trending. McDonald's was trending. All of this stuff, you know, shareable fries. Everybody, McDonald's. Come to learn, this is all a marketing ploy. This is not something that I can get. This is only in Malaysia. Why the fuck is McDonald's treating the people of Malaysia like they're Americans? I don't get it. People in Malaysia need to have like a 40-pound bag of French fries? No, that's something for me in Dallas, Texas. And I can only get them in Malaysia. Then I kind of caught on. This is how McDonald's tests. This is how they put it online and they released the story about the McDonald's XX fries in Malaysia. They release it on American Twitters, whatever you want to call them. Americans go nuts. How come they got them? I want them. And then like a month from now, McDonald's will announce, we're rolling out the shareable. It was all a marketing ploy. We'll get the giant 80-pound bag, the 80-pound sack of McDonald's potatoes. We'll get that. They're just softening us up. This story was designed to put it on our radar. So we're like, oh, McDonald's is going to introduce us. When are they gone? That's how they do it. That's how they do it. All right. And lastly, here's what we're going to get into. I want to talk a little bit about Fox Sports. I don't know. Is it Fox? Is there? I don't know what Fox Sports. Fox Sports is. The content isn't terrible. I'm not talking about the content being terrible. Fox Sports as a brand, I don't know what that is. I don't know. I know what ESPN is. And I know that ESPN's got ESPN2. And I know that ESPN, for a while had ESPN News. A whole bunch of ESPN. But I know what ESPN is. I have never understood what Fox Sports is. Because, when I watch the baseball game of the week on Fox Network, it's like Fox Sports. And I'm like, okay, so the network is Fox Sports. But then there's also like an ESPN knockoff that they're calling Fox Sports. But they rolled out Fox Sports with a secondary channel at the same time. And you remember the confusion behind Fox Sports 1 and Fox Sports 2, which were released at the same time? So weird. Such a terrible idea. ESPN didn't go, hi, we're ESPN, we're brand new. But also, here's our friend ESPN News and ESPN2. No, it was after there was an understanding of what ESPN was that we then got these offshoot channels. Fox Sports just went Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2. And I'm like, what's the difference? Why am I? So they've been clumsy from the beginning. And then once they found their footing, and I think there's only one Fox Sports now. I think it's just Fox Sports or whatever. I don't know. I don't watch it. I don't have cable. I am familiar with all of the Fox Sports content, and I'm very familiar with it. I am familiar with it because of YouTube, because I watch it all on YouTube in little clips. I don't watch full shows. What am I, 80? I watch, clips concerning the topics I'm interested in from the shows that I'm familiar with. All right. So I guess Fox Sports is its own thing, but Fox Sports essentially is doing ESPN. It's the exact same thing as ESPN. Same kinds of shows, same, we've got a ESPN Sports Center, we've got Fox Sports Central or whatever they call it. Here's what we're going to do. ESPN's got nothing but a highly educated. We're talking about ESPN Jewish. It's just an observation from a friend of mine who worked at ESPN. So a friend of mine was a reporter at ESPN, and they were a high profile reporter, somebody you saw on TV all the time back in the day. And, this person came back to work in Chicago radio, and they were working with me at a station. And I said, why'd you leave ESPN? And this person looked at me and said, because I'm not Jewish and I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm not a pro athlete and I'm not Jewish. Those are the two things that you need to get on TV at ESPN. And I said, well, what about Dan Patrick? And he's like, Dan Patrick is gone, isn't he? I'm like, yeah. So he's like, look at ESPN. Everybody on ESPN, and this is going back a number of years, so it's different now. Everybody hosting shows on ESPN is either a Jewish guy or a former pro athlete. And most of the time, it's a Jewish guy from Syracuse. So the Syracuse sports media pipeline to ESPN is a thing, baby. They're all Syracuse alums, and they're all Jewish guys from New York or the Connecticut suburbs. Those are the people that get on air. If you've got a bad 40 time, okay, if you've got a terrible 40 time and you want to work at ESPN, then you better be Jewish and from the suburbs of New York. That's just how it was. Any number of Bermans, Greenbergs, Obermans, they were just all of them. None of the athletes had Jewish last names. That's where you got the black guys and stuff. That's how they let black guys work at ESPN. You hired pro athletes. Anyway, so that's what Fox News did. I don't think they leaned in so hard to the Syracuse Jewish New York suburbs pipeline of broadcasters the way ESPN did. But Fox Sports essentially copied everything ESPN was doing. Fox Sports, since their inception, has been a good year or two behind whatever it is that ESPN is doing, and they are unapologetic in the way that they copy and mimic whatever ESPN is doing. It's not like Coke and Pepsi, where Pepsi is going, we could be Coke one day. This is like Coke and Pepsi, where Pepsi is going, we're just happy mimicking what they're doing. So what did they do? They wiped out a whole bunch of their shows, a whole bunch of their stupid, redundant, non-interesting shows. I will say that the one caveat that I will add is that I was a fan of Breakfast Ball. Breakfast Ball was a morning show on Fox Sports. Again, I never watched the show. I only watched the clips. It was hosted by ex-convict Craig Carton, former NFL player Mark Schlereth, and a guy I'm a fan of, Danny Parkins. No joke. Danny Parkins, Jewish and from Syracuse. Breakfast Ball was a good show, I thought. I thought Parkins and Carton had a really good sort of back and forth. It was a fun show. Wasn't unique, wasn't original. It looked like every other sports discussion show that you can find on ESPN, NFL Network, Fox Sports, or wherever. But it was good. For what it was, it wasn't, breaking new ground, but it was good. So they blew that show up. They also blew out Joy Taylor. Remember Joy Taylor? Just a couple of months ago, she got in trouble for being sexy or something. I don't know. What does Joy Taylor get in trouble for? She's so hot. I bet she gets out of trouble easy. I'll tell you that. Joy Taylor probably gets in trouble. But then she goes and she sits in the boss's office, and the boss is like, oh, Joy, what am I going to do with you? Joy Taylor's hot. She got fired. A whole bunch of people that I didn't like at Fox got fired. I like Joy Taylor. I mean, not Joy Taylor, the broadcaster, Joy Taylor, the female specimen. I like Joy Taylor. Manuel Acho, who I hated, they got rid of him. I don't know what they did with the likes of Schlereths and Cartons and all of that. I know that Danny Parkins from Breakfast Ball, he has not been fired. The show's been canceled, but he is staying at Fox Sports there, and they're building some new show for him. And that's good because I think Danny Parkins is great, and he's unique, and he's original, and he's the former host of my favorite Chicago afternoon sports talk show. So good for him. So they cleaned the decks, as they say. I remember earlier when I told you that Fox Sports is unapologetically 2 years behind what ESPN is doing. Well, ESPN did this 2 years ago. They cleared the decks and got rid of a whole bunch of shows, and then they leaned heavy into who? Pat McAfee. ESPN saw the horizon of sports and sports viewership, and they decided that, we've got to go younger. We've got to appeal to a new sensibility. And Pat McAfee has demonstrated that he can do that. So ESPN gave all kinds of money to Pat McAfee. They basically cleared out their entire daytime broadcast and said, what do you want to do? It's all for you. And they've had success with it. And all the oldsters have been like, I don't get this kind of sports talk. Shut up. It has been extremely, extremely profitable. The advertising dollars are there like they've never been before for afternoon sports talk shows on ESPN. They've got a younger demographic, a demographic that actually goes places, a demographic that will actually go out and watch the show live when they take it on the road, a more engaged demographic. That is what ESPN did 2 years ago. So here we come to Fox Sports. Fox Sports decided that after wiping out their entire slate that they don't have Pat McAfee, so why not Dave Portnoy? Dave Portnoy. So to counter the successful changes in broadcast style that ESPN did 2 years ago when they signed Pat McAfee, Fox News has finally gone, we should do something. Who's like that? And they went with the creator and founder of Barstool, Dave Portnoy. So what is my feeling on this? Let me tell you this much. Whew, this is a severe miscalculation. Dave Portnoy is not Pat McAfee. Dave Portnoy and Pat McAfee are both people who came out of the digital do-it-yourself content creation game. They are certainly examples of the new wave of sports discussion and sports media, if you will, but they aren't the same. Dave Portnoy is wildly unlikable. Dave Portnoy is like a jerk, and he's mean, and he tries to trigger people. I mean, he's very successful. He's a very smart guy, and he's an interesting guy. But the vibe as an entertainer, as somebody that is going to draw people to his work, isn't there. It is not the same thing. Dave Portnoy is not successful at Barstool. Dave Portnoy is the owner. The successful Barstool shows are Pardon My Take and Call Her Daddy and Pat McAfee. That's right. McAfee started on Barstool. The reason Dave Portnoy, the owner of Barstool, is so successful and has all of this money, and he's got a lot of money, is because he was smart enough to know that people like McAfee 10 years ago or 5 years ago, whatever it was, were talented enough to sell and to push this new medium forward. And guess what? It was a raging success. McAfee's now at ESPN, Disney, making crap loads. I mean, he was always making crap loads. You know, it's funny about McAfee. I do remember when he retired from the NFL. He was an NFL punter, and he didn't need to retire. He could have gone another 5 years, but he was like, hey, man, my podcast is blowing up, and I am not going to make punter money for the rest of my life. Think about that, working man. The guy was like an NFL punter, and he's like, nah, I'm going to podcast because it's way more lucrative, and it is. Pat McAfee went from having a punter salary yearly to what he has now is Tom Brady money. What he has gotten to is quarterback money. He is now making quarterback money to do the Pat McAfee show. It's wildly successful. Young people adore it. Nobody over 30 seems to like it except me. I mean, I love it because I can see what he's doing. And here's what I like about it. And I will say this till I'm blue in the face or until there is some video that goes viral that proves otherwise. Pat McAfee's appeal is that Pat McAfee is a good dude. Pat McAfee's appeal is that people like Pat McAfee, that he's funny and he's nice and he never, and I hate to say this because this sounds like a libtard saying, he doesn't punch down. He punches up and he makes fun of everything and nothing is serious. And that's what people are drawn to. A good, kindly, fun spirit who is sometimes a little naughty and sometimes a little edgy. But ultimately you're like, wow, you know what though? I like that guy. Like he would be fun to go to dinner with. He's a good guy. That's the magic of McAfee and what ESPN has been able to capitalize. That ain't Portnoy. Portnoy ain't that. People watch Portnoy to be mad at him. It's just not the same thing. So although Fox Sports, I think they think that they're just doing what they've always done, which is be 2 years behind what ESPN is doing, have completely fucked up with this move. Dave Portnoy is moving his Barstool whatever creation to Fox Sports. He's going to be going opposite Pat McAfee. Gee, I wonder who the demographic that advertisers desire most are going to flock to. Will it be the ESPN Coca-Cola of Pat McAfee or the desperate Fox News RC Cola of Dave Portnoy? Thank you. Al says, happy early birthday. My birthday's Sunday. And what I want to do for my birthday is see Superman with my son. That's what I'm hoping. There's nothing else. I'm not going to do anything else. But I want to go see. It's not my weekend with him, but that's not a problem. I don't want to give the impression that it's like, oh, Pugs is in one of those, child share relationships where it's not his work weekend. So no, that's not it. His mom's awesome. I love her. We'll always love her. She's his mom. We were married. We were great. Everything's fine. If I wanted to take him for my birthday, she'd be like, take him. Go ahead. We have that kind of relationship. So I don't mean to suggest anything else. But that's what I want to do. I want to go see Superman over the weekend. Thank you, Mama B. What else? Oh, about that. Okay, so here you go. So about the whole Superman thing. So I called my son yesterday. And I say, hey, kiddo, I decided you want to go see, I know you're not going to be with me this weekend, but you want to go see Superman on Sunday? And he goes, I'm going to the movies on Saturday with my friends. He's 16, right? Like a A 30-year-old who's been around, this globe a couple of times will be like, birthday, yeah, whatever you want, man. Yeah, oh, okay, yeah, we can do that. No, he's 16. This is why he shouldn't vote. He's 16 and he's like, oh, it's your birthday? Fuck you. I'm going out with my friends on Saturday, right? That is not a thoughtful person, which is why 16-year-olds shouldn't vote. Then he catches himself and he goes, oh, but we can, I think that'd be fine. We can go to a movie. Let's go to a movie. We can go to a movie. We'll go to Portillo. We'll do a whole birthday. So now he's trying to, make it good. And I'm like, good. All right. So then I say to him, and we're on the phone, which if we were in person, this would be a good example of the Gen Z stare, another topic we talked about. So I said to him on the phone, I go, so what movie are you seeing with your friends on Saturday? And there's a pause. He says nothing. He says nothing. That's where, if he was face to face, this awkward moment, he would give me the Gen Z stare. So you're going to the movies with your friends on Saturday. What movie are you seeing on Saturday with your friends? Pause. And then do you know what he said? You know what his response after the pause was? His response was, what kind of question is that? like what? What do you mean, what kind of question? A perfectly reasonable one? You tell me you're going to a movie on Saturday? You're going to see Superman with me on Sunday? I'm asking you, hey, what movie are you seeing on Saturday? And you're like, what kind of question is that? Hold on. We should try this in real time. Hold on. Maybe yeah, because you guys think I'm making this up. My fear is that he's going to see Superman with his friends on Saturday, and then he's going to see it again with me on Sunday. And that will depreciate the moment, the experience, right? I mean, I want both of us to be thrilled seeing it the first time together. It's not necessarily a deal breaker because I'm not a monster. I'll still go see it with them, but it'll be slightly upsetting, right? Hold on. Let's see if we can call him. And you'll see how he reacts here. Oh. Okay. Oh shit, he's at Lyft. Oh no, it's Friday. It's Friday, so he's not. He should be there.
Hello.
Hi, you're on the stream.
Okay, awesome. What's up?
Okay, so let me ask you just a continuation of a conversation that we had yesterday, okay?
Sure.
So what movie are you seeing on Saturday with your friends?
Not sure yet.
Okay, that was good. That was a quicker answer. That's a better response than what kind of question is that? Because I'm wondering if you do you understand why that's kind of important to me? Finding out what movie you're seeing on Saturday?
Uh-huh.
And why is that? Why is that important to me?
Because you want to see Superman with me, dude.
Dude. Oh, you're already dismissing me. You're just already.
Yeah, I am. Because you're not letting me see the movie I want to watch with my friends, and they all want to watch it.
What's that?
So, Superman, dude.
There you go. A little honesty. All right, a live mic, you get a little honesty. You can, of course, go with your friends.
No,
on
we're not
Saturday.
seeing it. They want to see.
Oh, well, then you can go. I am not the worst. I am trying to tell you, if you will listen to me, I am trying to tell you that my demand that you only see Superman with me,
It's absurd.
A demand that I made weeks ago.
If I may add, it's absurd.
A demand that I made weeks ago, we'll call it a request that I made weeks ago, is not absurd, but I am going to let you off the hook on that now.
Oh, are you?
Yes, I'm not going to hold you to it because it's been 2 weeks since the movie's been out. Everybody's seeing it. You should be able to see it with your friends. That's what I was calling to tell you.
You're not going to hold me to it.
Well, okay, is that turn of phrase offensive to you?
It's just funny.
Well, didn't you feel compelled to be held to it after your father asked you to reserve this moment for you and him? Didn't you feel...
I was debating it.
You're a dick. God, you're just such a dick. All right, I love you. You go see whatever you want. I don't care.
I plan on it.
Yeah, I know. And then you were going to lie to me. You were
100%.
going to sit through Superman with me on Sunday.
Happily, because it's apparently a good movie.
Okay, well, here you go. You know what we're doing? You know what we're doing now? I am going to Superman alone on my birthday. That's what I'm
Yeah,
doing.
that's sad. Why alone?
Because I don't want to see it. Because I don't want to see it with you now. Because you've already seen it.
Okay, cool. That's awesome.
Such a dick. I was going to come up there. Thought we'd go to Portillo's. It was going to be a nice birthday day for
Once
me.
again, this is all in your head, bro. This is not like I don't care. We can do whatever we
It
want.
is. All right. There you go. That's why we shouldn't let them vote. It's snarky. Everything's like, that's what you think. Now, some of that was turned up because I told him he was on the stream. So he's trying to be cool on the stream. I mean, he is cool, but you know what I mean? He's being a little more edgy on the stream. All right. I'm going to go. I'm not taking him. I'm going by myself. I'm going to go by myself. I'm going to go tonight. That's it. I've decided. I am going to see Superman tonight by myself. I don't want to do that. I don't want to see it by myself. I want to see it with another Superman person. No, I want to see it with my kid. All right, never mind. We'll figure all of this out. All right, folks, we're going to be back on Monday, the day after my birthday. Which, you know, I hate a birthday on a Sunday. What the hell, man? I know that, you know, probably some people think, well, that'd be nice to have your birthday. No, I want it to be during the work week. You know, that's when you're supposed to have your birthday. So you can be around other people. I'm not going to be around anybody on Sunday. I'm going to be all by myself. Who's going to say happy birthday to me? Well, that's why we have Facebook, right? So I'll be over on Facebook looking at all the people year after year, comparing my year after year. Oh, man, like a couple of years ago, everybody, happy birthday. It really made me feel good. Then the next year, it's like half of that. And then the next year, it's like a quarter of that. This week, it'll just be a bunch of ex-wives, ex-girlfriends, and people I do business with. That's all. All right, guys, I love you. You have yourself a great weekend. We're going to have a great weekend, and we're going to rally back here on Monday, right? Yeah, Monday. We'll do a 2:00 show then. This has been not the rant. I don't know what we're calling this, right? You notice? Oh, by the way, some I don't know if you guys noticed. Did a little bit different thing with the setup today. Let's get a little tighter on the camera, a little bit more flag and me. I got rid of all of our accoutrements that we had decorating the studio. I felt that it's too distracting. There's too much going on. Let's have this show be what it is. An American who's just ranting. I gotta go. I am out of shit to say. I love you guys. Have a great weekend. Bye.